And because this code word system that he's got, it means that, unlike anything else out there, where if someone says, well, what did you draw? Oh, you draw a boat. A boat. You drew a boat. And now it's a boat. They go off and go, it sounds like you just had to shout it into his phone until it popped up on the screen. With this, like, they go off and they go, I didn't even say it. I didn't even say it. I drew it in the air. His phone was on the table behind. I had my back to him. He couldn't, I was just, whatever it was, and when you remove the only method that could have achieved it this way, when you remove that from them, but then they kind of really believe they felt that intuition kick in, and it really did appear in their head, that image. Well, there was none of the methods it could have been. So maybe it was intuition. Maybe, and I mean, I've experienced it with the phone drum in the past when I was thinking of a song on the radio. Do you know what? It's not. Maybe, yeah. You're blurring those lines so much with this, and it's taking them right up to the fault line sort of thing, the invisible, like that bleeding edge of reality, and it's just really beautiful, man. Like really, really clever work here.
Thank you, dude. There's a lot of little extra things that you can add to get more freebies. I've spoken about freebies a few times, and it's because I'm obsessed with the concept. Anything that I can do, and we just switch the wording around and it feels like a new effect. That's a freebie. I want it so bad.
Yeah.
One of my favourite freebies for this is, in my wallet, I have a drawing of a house. In the back of my phone case, I have a drawing of a boat. That never has to come up. But if someone were to draw a boat, then I've got something that is even better than the image on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. And like having that physical out. So basically what Jake's saying is that he has a couple of different drawn paper outs which match some of the most popular choices. So then you can, if you think, this person's really into it or whatever, your structure, you can throw one word out there. You say, I picked up on something last week and it keeps coming back to me. I'm going to try and see if I can send it to you too. Because you've mentioned last week, you can call back to that and say, what I mentioned, I didn't want to make a big deal out of this because I never thought it was going to work. But I mentioned last week that I thought about this. You've just seen what I sent to you. You picked up on it too. And before I even left the house, I drew it down on a piece of paper just to be sure that this is not something to do with the phone or whatever you think it could be. I drew down the same thing, and then you cancel it, like you're throwing in there in case you thought it was, you cancel that method of the phone or anything. It's just like it suddenly cements the reality of it by wiping away any dirt.
Yeah.
It's really clever.
And it's not taking up any room. If you have a phone case, you've got to stick a drawing in there, man. Even if it's on the back of a card that you're going to use for something else, put it in there. And in your wallet as well, it's no room. I stick with a boat and a house just because I find them to be the most common always across any base.
Yeah. I think we were talking about this before. One of the clever things you can do is that you could have 4 outs on 2 pieces of paper by drawing a boat, and then you cross it out and put a house on it.
Yeah.
And then have what's the other one? Is it tree and bicycle or car?
Bicycle, I've
tree or flower, or flower and tree you can kind of draw to be almost identical. Yeah. So you say, and you can just not put the circle in the flower. But anyway, you draw 2 and cross 1 out. Doesn't matter which one. In performance, you say, I'm drawing this now. I'm confusing almost what this is. I'm going back and forth. Well, now you've got 4 chances of hitting physical outs as well. If you've got the boat crossed out and there's a house drawn next to it, and they say, name a boat or house. House, right? And the boat was the one that was crossed out. So that this time you say, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And just to be sure, before I even left the house today, I wanted to commit to what I was going to send you out. Back and forth. I'm so glad I stuck with the house. Perfect hit. If you'd said boat, now you just reframe it a little bit and say, look, before I left the house, I wasn't sure what you were going to go for. So I drew down 1, but then I changed my mind and I drew a house instead. But like you did just now and went with your gut instinct and the first one that came to mind, I should have stuck with that too. And now it's almost like that little imperfection theory where you did draw, they can see you drew something initially and then second guessed yourself. But they're not thinking about the app as the method now. They're like, oh yeah, he did think of it, and then I'm so glad I didn't. I'm so glad I trusted my gut and didn't second guess.
Mm.
You know, and you can reframe it that way, and suddenly, hilariously, you have two outs on one piece of paper. Both of them are as strong as the other. Same for the other outs then, like the car and the boat or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah. And there's a few different ways that this can be presented. As I said, the main takeaway, the basic routine that I do, I feel is the best routine you can do with this. Obviously, coming up with your own is half of the fun whenever you get something new. So it would be really nice to see other people's ideas kind of flourish more. Like I said earlier, there is a Facebook group, Not ESP Users Group, same password as you've used to get into this tutorial. There's other ideas and routines on there. But I'm also going to tell you about a few other ideas for presentations and ways that you can perform this shortly. Something that's worth getting into right now is the hecklers section. So if you were to open the crib menu, you'll see at the very end there's 4 items. The emojis for these are a little piece of paper with a pencil, someone giving the finger, a no kind of like Ghostbusters crossed out symbol, and then an eggplant. Speaking of that, if you are under the age of 18 or you're easily offended, please feel free to skip the next 5 minutes or so. You don't have to ever click on these ones. You don't have to ever summon them. You don't have to ever use the code words in a routine. These are specifically for hecklers or